The other day I wrote a little article and I wanted to create a audio version of it for you, so here you go. The other morning I woke up to a very shocking article from our local Minnesota paper, the Twin Cities Pioneer Press. The article states that Meta is purchasing land from the University of Minnesota for $700 million and building a data center. This will be located in Rosemount, Minnesota, and that is actually down the street from where I live. And for those of you who do not know Meta, Facebook, the social media company, changed their name to Meta, and the acting chief executive officer and chairman is Mark Zuckerberg. There's also shareholders who make key decisions, and the code name for this data center project is called Project Bigfoot. Code names are used to keep growth plans of large companies private. And in this article, it states that code names are given to avoid impacting stock prices or informing competitors. The article states this data center, Project Bigfoot, would be used to storing computing and networking equipment for the purpose of collecting, storing, processing, distributing, and allowing access to large amounts of data. Do you understand what this means? Allowing access to large amounts of data. What data? Whose data? That's what we should be asking is what's this data? What are they processing? And they're distributing our data to who? Who are they distributing this data? Some call it data, whatever. Who are they distributing and allowing access to this data? And what is this data? Okay, so those are my two questions. The filing was submitted to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission in October 2022 by Xcel Energy, who would be the electricity supplier. Okay, so keep in mind electricity produces EMF because I'm going to go down that electromagnetic field route with this too, but there's a lot of information in this. The land sale is expected to close January of 2024, and the funds are going to the UMore Park Legacy Fund, which boosts education and outreach projects for the university. So I have questions regarding these funds that go to funding projects. How much transparency are in these projects? And who is in charge of project? I don't know, just where would that money really go to? So I guess it'd be an audit for possible where those, I guess if it's the university's projects, they probably don't need to show anybody anything, right? But if this affects the public, which building a data storage facility that is active, not just storing it, like packing in a whole bunch of computers that aren't working. These are working electronics. I mean, where is the transparency is what I'm getting at. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty because this has red flag sign flashing all over it. My first thoughts when I heard about this nonsense was EMF, electromagnetic fields, and what would be produced by this data center, which is housing computers and equipment. But again, let me remind you, it's not just housing the equipment. The equipment is the purpose of collecting, storing, processing, distributing, or allowing access to large amounts of data. Okay, so the electromagnetic field produced by this data center is it's going to probably be really high, and so the effects of EMF radiation it's not good news. So our body holds heavy metals, contaminants from head to toe. And people may ask, where do these heavy metals come from? And they come from our air, soil, food, vaccines, medications, beauty supplies, chemical products, on and on and on and on. And we are contaminated in heavy metals. And parasites, which are also contaminates us, they feed off of these heavy metals. So, and these parasites cause illness. They make you crave food, junk foods, and they are not good for us. In fact, was COVID a bioparasitic weapon? So these parasites, cause illness and disease, and we are constantly a feeding source for them. And they do hide in the heavy metals that are in our bodies. And our brains are like an antenna. We are energetic power source. So when EMF radiation is high or present, even high or low, it really should raise a huge amount of health concerns because EMF radiation can cause a wide range of health issues. It disrupts the chemical structure of tissue, can change the electric current in the body, and it can change your DNA structure that is passed down to other generations. And having heavy metals in our body, the EMF stimulates the metals and the parasites in our body. It activates the microbes in our system and causes them to overact. And it can lead to health complications because of the mycotoxins. So I'm going to go over what the WHO states, okay? And this is www.who.inet. The WHO, World Health Organization, states some have reported inflammation, headaches, aches, pains, depression, lethargy, sleeping disorders, and even convulsions. And that was on www.who.inet. And other websites have more information, and on the National Institute of Health.gov, NIH.gov, they state they did a 2-year toxology test study, which was published in 2018 on rats and mice using radio frequency radiation cell phones, 2G and 3G, with a frequency of 700 to 2700 megahertz. And the results showed that high exposure of 900 megahertz with clear evidence association with tumors in the heart of male rats. It's called malignant schwannomas. And tumors in the brain and adrenal glands. The study goes on in detail, and it was quite alarming. And you can go to the study on it's ntp.niehs.nih.gov/ what we study / topics / cell phones. The WHO states that there hasn't been enough testing on EMF and not enough evidence. Well, you guys, there you have it. They admit that they haven't done enough testing. If they had, they would have plenty of evidence. The evidence is that our communities are sick from EMF, and we have plenty of it coming from all angles, up and down and all around. And they also state on their website that EMF will continue to increase as technology advances. So if technology is advancing, why aren't they doing studies? Because they don't care. They don't care. And so who's going to be an advocate for us with electromagnetic fields? Ourselves. And when we make a big stink, it will happen. Yeah, so we can make a big stink over it, but I don't think it's enough. I think that what has legislation done for forcing testing electromagnetic fields with mega structures and corporations? All these corporations house computers anyways. And so I just don't know. I don't know enough about the laws of electromagnetic field. I don't know anything about that. But I do feel that something should go into play here. So I'm going to continue on reading my article. So Technology will advance, and I'm an energy sensitive person, and so when I go through the airport at TSA, I can feel the EMF radiation, and I wear my shungite, and that helps. But even their equipment is enough of a disruption. So imagine an entire data storage facility and what others will feel in a community. And how far does this go? I mean, I don't know. Minnesota's considered Midwest, right? So how far? And I know there's other locations of data centers. So the location of each data center, what does that mean? There's got to be a reason for each location, right? We were taught to question everything. So speaking of questions, who will pay for the health problems that we incur, and who do we hold accountable? Of course we don't want to be sick, but we're just useless fears, right? So who's gonna what are they gonna who will pay for all these health problems that we're gonna have problems with, and who do we hold accountable? Who will test the EMF radiation levels, and what about their employees and their health? And I'm like, well, can the data center be built with shungite? Shungite is a natural stone found in Russia. And it protects you from EMF radiation. I highly doubt they will create this monstrosity out of shungite. However, I think it would be a good idea if they explore that data center to be built out of shungite. That is one way to problem solve. And I can guarantee you, once this data center is up, we will be needing to problem solve. And that means taking care of our health even more, because we will have um, higher taxes, higher health issues, and the list just goes on and on. So this summer in Minnesota, the year is 2023. It was dry and hot. My bills were really high. And, they water shortages, electricity shortages. And what happens when there's not enough water, electricity to go around for the neighborhoods, but it's enough for the data center, and then you have extra taxes. Um, that data center, I can guarantee you, would take precedence over a community. And if they want to save, this is not the way. How do they do that, right? And what about Xcel receiving tax breaks when our bills continue to rise? And the smart meters that went in, and people who opted out had an increase in their bill. And so the smart meter removes your control, and that also emits EMF. And people gave permission to do this without even really thinking about it. And everything, they think the smarter the better, right? So that's your way. That's your way to having them control us. It's a very sad state of affairs. And then our governor Waltz signed a clean energy bill, and it's supposed to slowly reach a full clean water or a clean energy bill by 2040. And so how will the Meta data center keep clean energy? If we have EMF, that's dirty energy because it's hurting people. It's a dirty business. And so, um, what about smart cities? Okay. And then there's surveillance. And what about land that is sacred? Here in Minnesota, we have sacred land. I see our freedoms gone through all of this. I see many different hands that are digging into this right before our very own eyes. And with the sacred land, I haven't gone down that rabbit hole of if the UMore land sold, if it's sacred ground. And if it is, I can almost guarantee that these sleeping spirits would not be happy at all with this giant that will be built on sacred land. We pose more questions than we have answers, which is extremely troubling. The reason is because the city council of Rosemount signed an NDA. So they're not talking. They claim to not have any additional information as the community poses question after question. And I've watched these city council meetings on TV. I am not able to attend because I have to work. And yeah, I'm working at night now. I took another job. So I can't go to these city council meetings, so hopefully this video will get around a little bit. But you know what? This has to stop. We need to stand up as a community and have a massive voice. And it's such a big project. It's like, well, I can tell you this, that the more voices, this is where our community needs to get together and really bond and create something, because I don't care what political race you sit in. You can sit in whatever side you want, but this is a problem for a community with health, and we don't deserve this at all. Nobody does. So I most certainly refuse to get on that train to Auschwitz. Will you?